Tonight's episodes explore 3 real-life encounters that feel like brief tears in reality, moments where something shifts, disappears, or doesn't behave the way it should. In the first story, a quiet road in a small town in Italy becomes a setting for something impossible when a man encounters a figure standing in the middle of the street, acting strangely before vanishing without a trace. In the second, a traveler in Mississippi stops at what appears to be a rundown gas station, but inside, he finds something completely out of place, something that feels less like a building and more like stepping into another time entirely. And in the third story, what starts as a simple late night trip to buy chocolate turns into something far more unsettling. A wallet disappears without explanation, only for parts of it to return in impossible ways, and then reappear somewhere that had already been searched more than once. 3 stories, 3 moments that shouldn't happen, but they did. So the question is, are these just strange coincidences, or are we catching glimpses of something we're not meant to understand? Let's get into it. Our first story comes from Kevin. He says, I live in a small ancient town in southern Italy called Santa Croce di Magliano. It's the kind of place where stone walls have ears and nothing ever happens at night. I was out late for a walk with my 35 kilogram or 77-pound Amstaff. My dog is normally calm, almost stoic. He ignores strangers and rarely even wags his tail at them. He's a wall of muscle, but a very quiet one. The first anomaly. As we reached the main intersection, I saw him. A man, roughly in his 40s, thin, with a shaved head. He was in the middle of the road, training. No gym, no equipment, just performing weird rhythmic exercises right on the asphalt in the dead of night. I didn't want any trouble, so I ignored him. My friend Matteo was just closing up his bar on the corner. I stopped for a moment and we both stood there watching the stranger's bizarre performance. We started whispering and cracking jokes, the kind of who's this nut job comments you make when you're with a friend and feel safe. We were literally mocking him under our breath, laughing at how ridiculous he looked, training in the middle of a deserted intersection at 2 a.m. Matteo even thought about taking a photo. It felt like a joke. We shared a final laugh. Matteo hopped in his car, and I waved goodbye, heading toward the town square. I thought I was walking away from a funny story to tell the next day. I didn't realize that while we were laughing at him, he was already marking me. The disappearance. I walked until I reached the Villa Comunale, the park of my village, and I turned around, partly curious to see the guy again, and partly to continue the walk with my dog. As I passed the intersection again, I looked for the man. He was gone. A slight chill ran down my spine, but I shrugged it off, thinking he'd just hurried away. The meeting. Continuing to walk, I arrived at the small square, Piazza San Giacomo. I decided it was time to go home, so I turned around. I walked for 100 meters. The buildings here are tall and made of stone. The space is tight. Suddenly, at the far end of the street, I saw a flash of white. It was him. He was walking toward me, but he looked different now. His white shirt was completely unbuttoned, fluttering behind him like a ghost's shroud in a breeze. His arms were held wide open, not as a greeting, but as if he were trying to occupy the entire width of the narrow passage. I felt a sudden sharp instinct to avoid him. I crossed to the other side of the street. Without breaking his stride, he immediately mirrored me. I moved back to the original side. He mirrored me again, silently funneling me toward the stone wall. He wasn't just walking, he was intercepting me. The eyes of ice and the barrier. As we closed the distance, just 2 meters, the yellow light hit his face. I will never forget his eyes. Deep, frozen ice blue. They were wide open, unblinking, and devoid of any human emotion. His skin was pale. His face was a perfect, terrifying blank. He was aiming to pass within an inch of me, a deliberate violation of space. That's when my dog woke up. He sensed the predatory intent before the man even reached us. My normally silent Amstaff reared up on his hind legs, his chest expanding, and let out a roar-like growl that vibrated against the stone walls. He lunged with a ferocity I'd never seen, his jaws inches from the man's bare chest. I had to plant my feet and pull the leash with everything I had to keep him from attacking. The mechanical reset. This is the part that haunts me. Faced with a lunging 77-pound predator, the man didn't flinch. He didn't gasp. He didn't even raise his hands. He stood there in that suffocating yellow-lit silence, staring directly into my eyes, while my dog was trying to end him. Then, he did something purely mechanical. He didn't turn around in a fluid motion. He performed a sharp 60-degree pivot like a needle on a compass and simply continued walking away in the direction he had come from. No words, no backward glance, just the sound of his footsteps fading into the dark. Aftermath. I stood there for 30 seconds, heart hammering, watching him go. I even followed him from a distance for a bit to make sure he wasn't circling back. He just kept walking straight until he disappeared. In a town where everyone knows everyone, no one has seen him since. I was ready to defend myself, but looking at those ice blue eyes, I realized I wasn't facing a tough guy. I was facing something that didn't follow human rules. My dog didn't just save me from a fight, he broke a trance I still don't fully understand. The next story comes from someone who wanted to remain anonymous, but I want to mention that this story has some of the similar elements of some of the more recent glitch type stories that have gone on in gas stations, because that's where this story takes place. I was doing a job in Starkville, Mississippi. Me and my buddy decided to go see where Robert Johnson supposedly sold his soul to the devil. So we go to Clarksdale, where the coordinates were. We go to this gas station around 5-ish, and it looked like it was about to fall apart. It was so dilapidated. So we walk in, only to be greeted by this beautiful girl standing there asking me if I had reservations. I was like, no. So she says, no problem, we always have room. We walk in, and it looked like a place from the 1950s. Nothing but beautiful people inside, and the cooks were all wearing the white paper hats. So we sit down. They bring us bread and RC Cola. Not Coca-Cola, RC Cola. We were talking, and we placed our orders, and we were eating bread while we waited. Not once was our bread basket empty, and not one time did I need a refill, but no one had come by. We looked at our watches, and my buddy said, dude, we've been here for over 2 hours, but it felt like 5 minutes. I was like, let's get out of here. So we get up, and a large black man asks us where we're going. I said, just gonna step outside for some air. We walk out, and there are no cars at all, only our truck. We looked around the building, and there were no cars, but the place was full on the inside. So we leave in a hurry. We throw the GPS back to our hotel. We drive for an hour in silence, only for my buddy to say, oh my God, it had taken us in a circle all the way back to the place we had just left. We put his truck in a straight line and hauled. To this day, it sticks with me. That was almost 20 years ago, but I remember it like it was yesterday. The person who shared the third story wanted to remain anonymous. I'm a 21-year-old female, and one day I decided to go to the supermarket because I was craving chocolate. It's literally a 2-minute walk from my apartment, so I just threw a coat over my pajamas and went. I remember putting my wallet in my pocket, paying, putting it back, and going home. When I got back, I left my coat on a chair since I was going to wear it again the next day. The next morning arrives. I'm getting ready for college. I put the jacket on, and where's my wallet? I searched everywhere. My bag, drawers, even under my bed. Remember that spot, by the way. And nothing. I started panicking because it had everything. My bank cards, my ID, my Metro pass, so I couldn't even go to class since I go by Metro every day. Then, somehow, While searching my desk for the 10,000th time, my Metro Pass just appears. But only that. How does that even make sense if it was inside my wallet, which had completely disappeared? Anyway, I went to class and then I went to my bank, cancel everything, remake my ID, a huge pain. Then yesterday, I'm changing into pajamas and a €1 coin falls under my bed. I bend down to grab it and there's my wallet under my bed. But the coin, gone. Couldn't find it. And I swear I had already checked multiple times and I had even vacuumed under there and found nothing. The weirdest part is that the weekend I found my wallet, my parents had gone on a trip by themselves. When they got back, they told me they had visited a church called Igreja de Santo Antonio das Causas Perdidas. Basically, this means St. Anthony of Lost Things. St. Anthony is supposedly linked to finding stuff you've lost. And they said they prayed for me. I'm not religious, but that was weird and too much of a coincidence. So, yeah, I'm just glad I found my wallet. I'm just going to throw in a little apology for my pronunciation of Portuguese and Italian in these two stories tonight. Hopefully, I didn't destroy them too much. You can correct me if I'm wrong in how I pronounced it. Thank you for staying with me until the end of tonight's stories. It means a lot that you spent this time here, listening, wondering, and sitting with the unknown. Because once you hear stories like these, it's hard not to notice how thin things can feel sometimes. Like reality isn't always as solid as it should be. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like and subscribe, share the channel. It helps keep these stories alive and reaching the people who are meant to hear them. And if you've ever had a moment that didn't make sense, a place that felt wrong, or a memory that feels like it didn't fully belong in this timeline, you can share your experience through the email or the form in the About section. Until next time, keep your eyes open. Some things don't just disappear, they slip out of place.